Hello, dear friends. Today, we continue to get acquainted with the diary of Gerhard Linke, a German lieutenant of the 185th Infantry Regiment of the 87th Infantry Division of the Wehrmacht. Please watch the first video if you missed it for a complete overview of the events. Remember to rate this work and also tell us what you think about this story. Let's begin. December 3rd. It's a crowded house all day long. There's a lot of time being taken up by everyone who is not lazy. 3 low-flying biplanes dropped flyers around 20 hours, but they didn't do us any harm. They also appear over Polizzi. A sentry guarding the headquarters takes his carbine and shoots down one of the machines with 3 shots. It catches fire. It is cold, a clear, starry sky. The snow creaks underfoot. December 4th. We are experiencing a hard time at the telephone one more time. Enemy is attacking the village of Polizzi with a heavy force. It was recaptured from the southern and eastern sides, but it has broken through the forest north of the village and is threatening to break between our strongholds. The 3rd Battalion, Senior Lieutenant Maggie, was ordered to clear the terrain of the enemy to unleash its forces. I get called out there. There is a fierce fighting in the forest. The gunshots do not cease for a minute. Multiple echoes intensify the effect of them. Heavy machine guns of Russians grind the bushes, shells whistle around. For a moment the fire calms down, but then a heavy shell rumbles and everything starts all over again. In my opinion, they shoot more blindly, just at the supposed target. Here and there whistling bullets cause confusion, as no one can distinguish where their own are and where the enemy is. There is no more sight of the Russians after the first unexpected encounter. Their off-target fire keeps our men at a distance. This is an ungrateful task of wandering, unaware of where, through the dense bushes. At times you can hear a shout. Someone's been hit by a bullet. Those wounded are lying in the cold snow, turning blue. It is almost inconceivable to ease the plight of helpless people under the present conditions. It appears that things are not all right at point 793. I'm called in with the purpose of observing the left flank and reporting. I walk along with one lightly wounded man, all the while keeping a cautious eye on the terrain. I come across some fresh tracks. There must be the first scoundrels around here somewhere. After a short time, I meet my neighbor's reconnaissance unit, which was sent for reinforcements. I give the commander an overview of the situation. A short distance away, near the village of Polizzi, we spot several dark figures lying in the snow. They move around cautiously at times. There are about 15 to 20 of them. Without a doubt, they are Russians. They want to crawl back to theirs. I threw my carbine to my shoulder. The reconnaissance squad kills the brothers and seizes 4 heavy machine guns, while the 3rd Battalion managed to take several machine gun nests and destroy the enemy entrenched in the forest. The position was straightened out as darkness fell. We took and disabled 15 heavy machine guns. 43 prisoners are in our hands. However, it cost our blood for the hand-to-hand fighting in the forest as well. While the regiment lost 31 soldiers killed, 55 wounded significantly reduced its combat effectiveness. A senior lieutenant, 1st Company, 187th Combat Battalion, died of a serious chest wound the next day. December 5th. The temperature falls to negative 26 degrees at night, experiencing relentless enemy fire. Our intention is to move the main line of defense to the outskirts, and the village of Polizzi is unfavorable for the leadership of the resistance. The enemy's disturbing fire reaches Polizzi around midnight. Russian heavy artillery sends storm-destructive fire into the village. The area is illuminated by rockets in between shots. These things mean, no doubt, preparations for an offensive. In such crucial moments, as always, our communications wiring is damaged, broken by shells, and the radio cannot be used because of the severe frost. Situation is depressing, uncertain. I am heading to the edge of the forest for more details. There is a heavy cloud of smoke rising over the Polizzi. Flames are beating from many houses. Heavy mines keep crumbling the village. It appears that tanks, too, are taking part in the business of destruction. The explosions of grenades reach so close that my eardrums sense the pressure of the airwave. Our artillery overwhelms the enemy's scouted firing positions with fire. It makes such a noise in the air, as if a flock of geese had flown by. It reminds me, therefore, of the song, "Wild Geese Rustle in the Night." Several lines are laying into the target, while the infantry stay inactive. There are several heavy tanks approaching the village. With our medium tanks, we are powerless against these monsters. but the Red Infantry is scattered. The timely arrival of Maggie's battalion replaces Schlegel's battalion. A lot of cars and horses were burned. Lieutenant Vazel is lightly wounded by shrapnel. We have had 11 killed and 34 wounded all day, with 19 soldiers badly frostbitten. There was considerable loss of officers. Lieutenant Georgi died heroically. The 1st Battalion, 187th Artillery Regiment, lost many officers wounded. It was sadly regrettable that none of them, who were sick or wounded and sent to the rear, came back to the front line again. There's no way to think about a full-fledged replenishment. It is unclear when we will be replaced. We are beginning to count gradually when the last man will be out of action, and there will be nobody to hold arms in their hands. There is so little manpower to service machine guns or heavy mortars that these weapons cannot be used if they are further depleted. At the same time, some of them, including vehicles, were left when they entered Ruza as a result of the lack of personnel on December 1st. The freezing wind blows sharp needles of snow to my face. Duracrust settles on your helmet from breathing. Some parts of your face whiten quickly, and you come back frostbitten after a few minutes in the freezing cold. A number of guard posts and guards try to warm at least their feet, the most sensitive to the cold, by the fires. By comparison, our uniforms do not equal those of the Russians. The enemy uses cotton pants and jackets. He wears felt boots and fur hats. We received a small batch of fur coats lately, and they are issued to soldiers who are more exposed to the cold. There is a shortage of footwear, especially with the current state of boots and socks. December 6th. After smashing their heads in our place, the Reds turned to their closest neighbors. There, the Russian units that came forward had to pull back. There is always a danger of being caught unexpectedly during the capture of individual resistance nodes. Here and there, several local battles lead to success. The Corps' right flank was still lagging behind. For this reason, orders are given for a straightening out of the line. A reconnaissance will be made early in the morning. For our regiment, this line is extremely disadvantageous. It passes through the woods for the most part. I thought it over, as if I could, with my few manpower. Build the line and hold it. In the morning, I went first to the village of Kuzmino and the village of Svatovo for the preparation of the command posts. Everywhere is crowded. The road was full of cars with all the units. The command post in the kindergarten, a massive stone building, was able with great difficulty not to be treated with any ceremony by the other units. It was freezing outside. December 7th, 1941. Christmas Fast. We realized that it's impossible to hold the line of defense. It is assumed further withdrawal of forces to the Surmino-Lucchino area. We survey the terrain together with the commander for a new position. Sappers begin to build dugouts and barricades at once. There is field dressing stations set up in the orphanage. Once the morning reception line, about 30 soldiers of the recently transferred rifle company show up here. There were brought about 80 men, 40 of them with frostbite of the 2nd and 3rd degree, who must be transferred to the infirmary. I had the opportunity to look at the frostbitten parts of the bodies. It is a regrettable sight. Their legs are swollen and covered with blisters, and not even legs anymore, just a shapeless mass. Some of them already blackened. Some of those who have passed through the shrapnel unscathed so far are becoming disabled here. There are a few remaining houses that can't provide overnight shelter to all who want it. They sleep in a cramped space, huddled together, until they reach the haylofts. They reheat stale bread in an open oven. Oh, these people look so miserable. They are exhausted and unshaven, wearing shabby clothes. From fatigue, people fall down right where they stood. Well, how do we go on? There's not a single fresh man to replace the person who will be out of the line today. Isn't there a division that can replace us? December 8th. Japan declared war on England and the United States. In this way, Japan is definitively on the side of the Axis. It is still difficult to judge the significance of what is happening. In my opinion, however, this will be the beginning of open hostilities between America and us. The first actions of the Japanese seem to be successful. Beginning at noon, there is a disturbing enemy fire on the village of Kuzmino. Communication wiring is again out of order. A liaison arrives at 1700 p.m., running out of breath. This man comes with the shocking news of the death of Oberlieutenant Maggie, the adjutant of the regiment commander. The shell struck the house where the battalion headquarters was located, killing several of the headquarters men. 3rd Battalion is pursuing setbacks in this respect. I'm asked to head the front and take the new 3rd Battalion commander, Oberlieutenant Wolf from the 187th Artillery Division, to the village of Kazmino. There, all are in anticipation of an enemy attack. An attack is launched after this assumption is made. I run through the village and notice the bullets flying between my knees. Tracer bullets fly across the sky like red sparks. I don't feel the cold anymore. It took an hour and the firefight was over in the forest. The mission was accomplished. There were just a few Russians left in the main line of defense, and they had to be driven out of there. On the way back, I hear about the new attack. I take the urgently needed ammunition to the front line. On one side, Russians entered the village. Damn! Several houses are on fire. 2nd Battalion remnants are preventing the enemy from reaching the edge of the forest to the east of the village. Hundreds of soldiers are blown up. I can see the Russians through the wavering flames. The situation is vague. There is a 3rd Battalion stuck somewhere. I take the wounded into the truck on my way back. It's a difficult thing to take away soldiers exhausted by pain from the battlefield. It was already midnight. For a few hours, its effect is restful. I can hear all the conversations through the drowsiness. December 9th. At 1 hour and 30 minutes, together with Lieutenant Varnstein, I went to the front line once again. We caught the 3rd Battalion still in the village. It cut off part of the village which had been in enemy possession. Units of the 187th Infantry and 187th Artillery Regiments that were sent to the rescue prepare a counterattack. I returned back with a report. Finally, I can rest for a few hours. Situation renewed again. The 2nd Battalion is no longer operational. A reconnaissance detachment and separate battalion companies remain on the front line. The enemy's renewed attempts to attack us during the day and the following night were repulsed. December 10th. I go to the village of Boriskovo for the preparation of a new command post. The battalion's withdrawal happens unnoticed at night. The rear units remain nearby the enemy. The sappers blow up tanks and anti-aircraft guns. December 11th. All units involved in the construction of the new post. There's no material, not enough tools. It's painful to see how people without tools work in the frozen ground. The delivery of much-needed equipment is out of the question in the near future. The rear units depart as ordered and set fire to the abandoned villages. The flames of the fire light up the night sky. At 3 p.m., we listen attentively to the Führer's speech in the German Reichstag and find out with pleasure about the declaration of war on the United States. This is what we have been waiting for. Our naval forces will be able to answer Roosevelt's defiant challenge. December 12th. Despite all the difficulties, the construction of the posts is proceeding. The enemy has not yet approached. His guard is located near the village of Svatovo. The 7th Army Corps is in trouble. The enemy had succeeded in breaking through to the rear. Since it is frightened that our rear guard units will be interfered with, we need to release the artillery division given to us. I hope this will be settled soon. Just as a difference, the severe cold had been replaced by damp weather over the past few days. As a consequence of this, it is glaze ice. December 13th. There was a sad event. There was a burial of the fallen comrades near the village of Kazmino. That evening, the regiment's headquarters moved to the bunker equipped for it. The small stove was filled to capacity with firewood and was blazing. Nevertheless, it did not help to heat the frozen walls. December 14th, 1941. Sunday, the 3rd Christmas fast. Everything is covered with hoarfrost. The sun shines brightly in the crystals of snow. Meanwhile, we are concerned about the enemy attacking the neighboring regiment on the left almost all day. The enemy got through to our rear. We could not take him out. The risk has grown. A new retreat is expected. It is scheduled for the evening of December 15th. We cannot even think of a Christmas day. The enemy's separate units should be near the village of Ogarkovo, which road is used for supplies. An order is given to leave the positions tomorrow morning. All this is heartbreaking. We're having to practice a kind of combat that we've never done before. It was an unspeakable effort to dig the ground with the necessary tools. We dug with our fingernails. Our miserable room was ready. Meanwhile, we had used up the last of our building materials. The sappers didn't have a single nail or a single end of wire anymore. Here we have to give up, leave to our fate the land, which we conquered, in our victorious advance. Oh my God! What have we done wrong? That we have had to suffer so much? We are in a critical situation. There is a danger of being isolated. There is a need for an urgent retreat. 20 hours is the shortest time. We must hurry. We can eat another bowl of rice soup. What a good thing that everything is already prepared. The whole night's gone by. We may have to retreat with a struggle. We are prepared for that spiritually. The situation is unknown. Most of the telephone wires are out of order. Hasn't the enemy cut them? There is still an intermediate station in Sorokino. The slippery road poses a challenge. We hardly drive the cars down the steep slope. The assault guns won't go up again. I learned afterwards that one was blown up. There is nothing known about the fate of the second. Encounters with retreating regiments as well create the first traffic jams, but all the confusion awaits us only in the next village of Lviv. Forces of many divisions, retreating back, have flooded the road. We must bypass the road. In fact, we were able to make our way with the column with the most unrestrained impudence. In such darkness, it was impossible to avoid that individual carts would not be involved in this muddle. There is a stop in the village of Rakovo. It is necessary to check out the further route first. In a crowded room, while sitting on a chair, I take a nap for 1 hour. Lieutenant Strobel lies beneath me. It gets cold when the flame goes out in the little stove, and we freeze. In the room, the air is not good and damp. December 15th. It is just getting light, and we continue on our way. There are many difficulties due to the bad roads and snow. Cars often get stuck in the snow. We are slowly moving forward. The vehicles of the regiment headquarters can hardly be driven. One of them should be taken on a tow up to the place of rest, Zagorji. I arrive there at noon. I hear the noise of the battle to the south, not far away at all. I destroy a few pieces of stale bread with appetite. There is no opportunity for sleep. I stay at the telephone, which has not yet been removed here. It seems there is no longer any danger of getting pinched. In the darkness, there continues its way a long ribbon of columns. It's not easy to carry the wounded. I want to go forward with the carts, but the highway is filled with cars. I hadn't got out of the mess just yet, when the cart rolls over again into a snow-covered hole. As we try to pull it out, the convoy passes. It's impossible to outrun it. The truck, brought up to date yesterday morning, broke down again. The axle broke. Nothing can be done. The last units of the regiment are passing by. We have to leave the car behind. We load 3 crates of hand grenades into the cab. 50 liters of fuel were filled into the tank. There was enough of a grenade to cause the whole thing to go up in flames. A column of fire rises up to a meter high, and the vehicle stands engulfed in bright flames. All things that cannot be taken and that must not fall into the hands of the Bolsheviks were destroyed in this way. There are still a few guns in the 1st Division, 187th Artillery Regiment, on the road. Our horses, exhausted, can no longer pull the wagons and freeze to death. Anti-tank company lost a few guns and cards. We had to give up some of the cars because of the lack of fuel. A heavily laden wagon turns over once more on a curve and holds us. When we get ready to move again, a platoon of heavy infantry guns catches up with us. These poor people worked so hard in order to save the heavy wagons. The gun falls into a deep hole on the last steep slope. It can no longer be saved. We blow it up. It is 9 p.m. We get into a terrible mess in the village of Denisika. My regiment had passed long ago. I see unpleasant things all around me. There are boxes of ammunition and shells scattered here and there on the road. As I continue, we find them stacked up in mountains. Then I find items of ammunition as well. All this stuff belongs to someone else's regiment, not mine. We leave behind all these unnecessarily abandoned items. We are again obliged to join one column. It's stalled. Neither backward nor forward. There is a rugged section of trail a few kilometers away. The riders unteam the horses and take them back to the village. I send 2 helpers of the saddlers to warm up as well. I stayed near the cars in the forest. It's past midnight. It's getting cold everywhere. I keep a blanket and 2 overcoats on to protect myself, but my legs are freezing from the cold. It's blowing hard. The snow covers us and the carts. December 16th. The front of the column is moving slowly. Now the traffic jam is cleared ahead of us, and we are moving relatively well. Oh, what a terrific picture we see in front of us. In my mind, I've only seen something like this on the march to the west when the French troops were retreating. Broken cars, scattered ammunition, in many cases dropped in a hurry. What's disappointing is that we don't have a sufficient number of hidden storage facilities where we could hide most of the valuable things at least. In this retreat, mindset and discipline were affected. We lost a lot of valuable property. No one even cared to destroy it all. It was possible to worry about those ammunitions dropping on our heads. I get safely to the regiment without any difficulty. We pass Vishenki, which was the former location of the regiment's headquarters, where we once spent unpleasant hours. Nobody knew then for sure that we would ever see this village again. It is true that even then, in that autumn slush, the situation was not brilliant, but this time it has deteriorated even more. The many casualties had weakened us even more during this time. At the same time, we got the 200 men we'd somehow scraped by the rear units, transport units and convoys, regardless of their age, specialty, or the benefits they'd received for their last sons. There is no doubt about the fighting ability of this elite. Many soldiers don't even use their own weapons. For me, this kind of thing seemed to be possible only in hastily assembled Russian brigades. We had only one break for a few hours at the Pesochnoi Podborino crossing. We had to move on in the evening. The target is the village of Tishino, which we knew quite well during the offensive. There we would stand for the next few days, covering the movement. I passed through Ruza, which was abandoned and almost depopulated. There are wooden houses burning. These torches light up the town. It's as bright as daylight. We move into Colonel Raki's old apartment. At night, we receive a command to prepare for defenses. At last, the Führer's imperious word, no further retreat. This line of defense must be held to the last moment. The town of Ruza must be turned into a bridgehead. December 17th. With defense, we were faced with heavy worries and confusing questions. Losses in ammunition and equipment were revealed each time. The last battery of Captain Raki left in Ruza. The city crowded with carts and units of every division. These units and groups get broken up and scattered every now and then. There was no sense in the leadership of some of the divisions except to shrug it off. It would be worthwhile for these divisions to take my regiment's leadership of the retreat as an example. Radio address by General Martinic to the 9th Army Corps on December 17, 1941. Quote, "The 2nd Battalion of the 125th Combat Engineer Regiment had just passed through Ruza all in order." Unquote. Extraordinary things are being seen. There are disgraced men wandering around like vagrants, like the bastard. I interfere whenever I meet this kind of loose guy. The majority are soldiers without thorough training. At 267th Division, I got even to the point of a bloody scuffle. Our new line of defense passes through our section of the forest, this side of the river. It is certainly a better line than the one at Kesmino, but worse than the one at Boriskovo village. The area is pretty wide for us. December 18th. An anti-aircraft gun was sent to support us. We create positions with the help of the scrappers. We suffer again with the demining tools, first of all with picks and shovels. The lack of wire and mines again held us back. We had absolutely nothing in stock. All at last, we managed to get something to be given to us. At once, I rushed out of my seat in order to bring some mines and coils of barbed wire from the specified warehouse in 2 cars. It was quite an unfortunate trip. The car fell down on a dilapidated bridge and got stuck among the protruding logs. Later, we realized that we had lost our way. There was a broken traffic light at a curve, and a second car went under a slope. The cars could continue on their way again through much effort. We were able to get closer to a road that was navigable only after reaching the detour, but it took us a while to get there. Later, it became clear that it was impossible to pass on this road. A heavy car could not take the slippery hill. Therefore, it was necessary to leave it till tomorrow. We continued without it. 2 cameras burst on the way. No one could find the indicated warehouse in the dark. December 19th. As we are urgently in need of barricades, I head out again to find the mine depot. I take an armored car with me this time. At this point, we have to drive through an area that was being fired upon by the enemy. We get off safely. We load our wagons full of long-awaited mines and wire. As we left, we were caught in one spot by machine gun fire, but we managed to get the heavily laden wagons safely through here as well. 27 men came out of the infirmary today. I ordered all sorts of weapons, equipment, and ammunition lying unattended to be hidden, and I am taking some of the things we might need with us. December 20th. All of us are working on creating positions at a feverish pace. We moved to the village of Vatolino. There is such dreadful crowding in the village of Tishino that we need to find a place for the battalion where the units withdrawn from the front lines might warm up and rest for at least one night. December 21st, 1941. For a few days, harassing fire has been going on at the regiment's position. The result is that we have single casualties. The enemy would begin to get into action, but the exposed mines seem to inspire him with respect. A local battle begins. The consequences of that are further losses. Several soldiers are captured, apparently in Russian hands. The requirement for reinforcements gets more and more insistent. We were promised, and they were true to their word. We got 40 men. 2 of them were officers of the marching battalion. Still, this replenishment did not have a dramatic effect on the situation, because on the same day the infirmary was replenished with the same number of men. The new units had to be delivered by air. The first batch was delivered to another unit. The following day the aircraft were unable to take to the air by reason of unfavorable meteorological conditions. It is now impossible to expect a new supply. To what does all this lead to? We start out with good, combat-ready units, and then nobody even thinks about refreshing them. People have a feeling as if they were put on a post and then forgot to replace them. Did we get left behind? It feels to us that all the action is bad timing and that everything has not been done as it should be done now. We often get requests for appointment and characterization from the garrison in the homeland. All the barracks are overcrowded there, while here at the front we value every man, in particular specialists and officers. Certain department with unexplained persistence holds people in rare units. It makes me want to scream with annoyance. We were in shock when we heard in the morning the news of the changing of the army's command. The Führer himself would now be in charge. A short order informed us of this. I suppose the reason is our retreat, but it was never supposed to be. If we were more diligent and timely brought in the reinforcements. Our transports have been doing a colossal job. The railway and highway network on such a big plain is so poorly developed that the roads are overloaded. Now the cold weather has come, which seriously affects the workability of transport. There is no coal for thousands of miles. Alarm systems fail, and there are often snowdrifts. All of these difficulties, however, must be overcome. It is not strange that we lack much. I would say we have nearly nothing. Initially, we could get a lot of things in the captured areas. Stocks for cattle and horses were sufficient during all the difficult months when we were left alone. Now we are in the same territory. Our miserable leftovers will soon be exhausted. Potatoes are added to our food in completely unnoticeable quantities. The cattle have been completely butchered. The forage in the area is almost out. There were almost no oats before. Fortunately, food and ammunition have been coming in sufficient amounts up to now. The rest we needed badly. I have already listed the barriers here. Also lighting, tools, building materials. All these things are getting to us badly. December 22nd. Carefully looking around, I found some good weapons and equipment among the destroyed and abandoned vehicles. We are hiding it all and will try to start using it soon. A heavy snowstorm is really hampering us. A single gust of wind makes the roads we just cleared impossible to cross. Even on a sled, it is hard to overcome the snow. Every thought is about a supply run. A few days of bad weather and traffic is so bad that no one can get through. December 23rd. It means a lot to get a light anti-aircraft gun to be left for us on the front line. This question is constantly being raised. Who should be in charge of it? It is always unclear. At night, the Russians managed to get to our defense line by crossing the mine barriers. Thanks to our counterattack, their company was forced back and the situation became better. The above-mentioned soldiers were captured in the same way. A transport with food and ammunition is somewhere in the snow. Still heavy snow is falling from the sky. The whistling of a gusty and very strong wind can be heard over the plains. I go on a reconnaissance mission. The winter forest seems completely peaceful. It is as though enchanted. No one has taken a single step here before me. Absolute silence. The branches of trees and bushes are bent to the ground under the weight of the snow. December 24th, Christmas Eve. Christmas begins at 6 p.m. At noon, enemy aircraft are operating hard. I saw a Russian fighter plane being shot down. The commander, along with Lieutenant Strobel, went to the front line and to the nearby division. Short diary notes should not be brilliant, stylistically corrected reports. No. With all the brutality of reality, these notes should contain the most significant events of the day. As darkness began to fall, the commander, accompanied by Lieutenant Strobel, searches for a few empty houses. The officers and staff officers of the regiment's headquarters gather near a small Christmas tree. The colonel, who has returned, has a few words about the 1941 war Christmas. The hut is lit with candles. Everyone's thoughts, of course, turn to home and loved ones. Everyone wishes they could spend Christmas in their homeland. The sutlers have little items for everyone. You can get a razor, toothpaste, combs, writing paper, insoles, powder, and so on. I pick a lighter, notebook, hankies, and a flask of old Lavandel. It's sad that the Christmas mail did not arrive. Unpacking the packages would have brought joy. Our guys managed, despite all the difficulties, to keep the goose that was waiting for today. It had been in many people's hands, but still went back to the old guy. Lunch was cooked wonderfully by our people. It turns out we also have 2 flasks of French sect. The milk and pudding, lovingly sent by my mother, was a nice dessert. There was something else in the commander's big Christmas box. One little book. It was a joy to me. Tobacco and some chocolate were received in large amounts for the units today. Candles are blinking. Everyone writes a letter home. Then another tea drinking with cookies. Christmas Eve says goodbye to us along with the radio. There was a lot of sadness, memories, and hope in this evening. That evening, we were expecting a Russian attack. The alarm was announced, but all over our area was quiet. When we go outside, you see a silver glowing ball rising above the dark treetops. The ground is lit up for a few seconds. The ball fades, and the entire landscape is once again in darkness. December 25th, the first day of Christmas. Absolute harmony during the first day of the holiday. Some mail made its way to us, though, but it was more of a disappointment. It turned out that the full sacks were almost all intended for the killed, the wounded, or the sick. I write my diary and a few letters again. December 26th. I drive the truck to the ammunition distribution point in the morning. The engines in the cold are not working. The vehicle with a burnout valve goes no further. Another truck is called for towing, but it failed to reach its destination due to a cylinder malfunction as well. I spent half a day on the road. Anger overcomes me, and finally, I return with an unaccomplished mission. December 28th. Clear, starry evening sky. I make my way to the front line. The moon can be seen behind the snow-covered treetops. It is even bright in the woods, like it is daytime. The area is under harassing fire. A tree, fallen from shell splinters, lies across the road. I crawl to the company commander's dugout, talking about the worries of the people on the front line. The most important point is the longing for a rotation. With each passing day, the small group of men remaining dwindles. Without an anti-aircraft gun removed, the defense is lacking the most basic thing, a sense of safety. The second issue is the lack of light. In the dark living dugouts, the soldiers have nothing to do. People are having a hard time, with insects bothering everyone everywhere. People observe with worry the absence of mail. Unfortunately, the bread portion has to be reduced. The taking away of the anti-aircraft gun puts us in the position of having to reinforce the units. Regular rotation will now become impossible. The musty and dark holes will become a permanent shelter for the men. For today, that's all. If you liked this video, please support it with a like and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye, everyone. See you all again.